Imagine looking up at a night sky dotted with countless stars, each one shining with a gentle twinkle that feels oddly comforting. The thought that intelligent beings may exist somewhere beyond those pinpoints of light feels strange when standing outside on a chilly evening, gripping a warm mug and listening to the distant of city traffic. The zoo hypothesis rests on the idea that if such beings exist, they might be quietly watching and choosing not to interfere with us, like visitors silently observing animals behind glass barriers at a wildlife park. The zoo hypothesis emerged as an explanation to the long silence encountered in our search for extraterrestrial signals. It proposes that advanced civilizations avoid direct contact, maintaining a deliberate separation to ensure we continue to evolve without outside influence. In this view, Earth becomes a kind of controlled habitat, and humanity, a population under observation, left to develop naturally. Some variants of the hypothesis suggest these observers may have established protocols or agreements to maintain a cosmic quarantine. The idea is that revealing themselves might alter our trajectory, much like scientists refraining from tapping on aquarium glass to avoid startling the fish. I recall reading about the lab variant introduced by John Allen Ball, a former MIT Haystack Observatory scientist. He considered that Earth could be akin to a giant laboratory, with humans playing the role of test subjects in an enormous experiment. He suggested these extraterrestrial observers might be checking how civilizations like ours solve problems, manage conflict, and respond to environmental challenges. Standing in my backyard one weekend, I tried imagining this scenario. If there were watchers far off behind telescopes and instruments, more advanced than anything we can imagine, it felt unsettling, but also oddly amusing. Would they lean in closer when we discover a new energy source, or sigh with relief when we avert a disaster? The zoo hypothesis does not rely on evidence of spacecraft hovering behind clouds or secret radio transmissions hidden in cosmic noise. Instead, it attempts to explain why no obvious signals have been detected despite decades of listening. Some astronomers involved with SETI have used powerful radio telescopes to sweep the sky for artificial patterns, yet they find only natural cosmic static and pulses from distant pulsars. Meanwhile, researchers have launched projects like METI, messaging extraterrestrial intelligence, beaming greetings out into the galaxy. So far, these messages sail on in silence, not greeted by any known reply. The zoo hypothesis suggests this silence could be intentional, a policy of non-interference strictly enforced by extraterrestrial civilizations. I remember visiting a radio observatory in a remote desert region. The air was cold and dry, and the silence, punctuated by the wind over the scrub, made the giant dish above me seem all the more mysterious. Standing beneath that vast structure, I tried to picture the universe as a place teeming with life, yet all of them choosing to watch from a distance. No lights blinking in hello, no strange probes landing in public view, just us living out our stories, building towers, making art, waging wars and healing wounds, while unseen watchers possibly record it all. The thought felt equal parts eerie and surreal. The zoo hypothesis also acknowledges that if these observers have far superior technology, they could easily cloak their presence. They might have observation outposts tucked into remote parts of our solar system, hidden deep in space, or engineered to appear like natural cosmic objects. Some have suggested that unusual phenomena, like certain odd asteroid shapes or transient radio bursts, could be accidental glimpses of them, though evidence always ends up pointing to natural explanations. The hypothesis does not claim that these glimpses are real. It simply posits that if watchers are there, they have the means to remain undetected. Walking through a natural history museum one afternoon, I stopped at a terrarium displaying a carefully curated replica of a rainforest floor. Inside, tiny creatures went about their business. Ants marching, a lizard darting under leaves, and beetles crawling in search of food. The humans standing outside the glass observed quietly. None of us tapped the glass or tried to talk to them. Our presence did not alter their world. We simply watched. The zoo hypothesis suggests something similar on a cosmic scale. We might be those tiny organisms in a terrarium, unwitting participants in a grand observational study conducted by unseen intelligences. This concept has also been explored in speculation about a galactic club of civilizations that have agreed upon non-interference rules. If a network of advanced societies exists, they might enforce guidelines ensuring that budding species like ours remain unaware until we reach certain milestones. They might require a civilization to achieve stable global cooperation, or a certain technological threshold before first contact is permitted. In the meantime, we live inside an invisible enclosure, with the Watchers carefully avoiding any overt sign that might cause us to realize the nature of our enclosure. It's possible that we simply have not developed the right detection methods. The Watchers, if they exist, might be communicating in ways we cannot comprehend, using technologies or mediums beyond our current understanding. If they have neutralized all evidence of their presence, then from our perspective, space remains silent. Our largest telescopes and sensitive receivers do not register their activities. This enforced quiet might itself be a fact that supports the hypothesis. Advanced civilizations, well aware of the effects of interference, maintain a disciplined silence. Sometimes I think of how we do research on animal behavior. We set up camera traps in forests and deserts, capturing animals living naturally, unaware of the lens pointed at them. Scientists watch from afar, analyzing patterns and interactions without stepping in. No deer or fox receives a letter announcing our presence. We refrain from shouting into the forest that we are here. The zoo hypothesis suggests extraterrestrial watchers could be doing something akin to this, maintaining their version of camera traps and distant observation posts. Some discussions point out that, if this is the case, we may see no direct traces of advanced engineering in our solar system. The Watchers would likely remove or disguise any evidence of their equipment. If we stumble upon something anomalous, it must be explained away naturally. Such civilizations would be extremely good at minimizing their footprints, ensuring their actions leave no lasting clues. They might have perfected invisibility techniques, advanced camouflage, or methods of remote observation that we have not even imagined. The zoo hypothesis differs from other ideas about cosmic silence by focusing on deliberate choice rather than inability or rarity. It does not rely on extraterrestrials being few in number or too distant, nor does it assume life beyond Earth never attains advanced technology. Instead, it sets forth a scenario in which they have rules, an enforced code of conduct that keeps them hidden from us. If so, their priorities might revolve around preserving authentic development. They would wait patiently, watching our species navigate challenges and breakthroughs, possibly taking notes on how we respond to crises or discover new sciences. A personal experience that made me think about this was setting up a small telescope in a quiet clearing. Looking at Jupiter and its moons, I realized how tiny we are. I could almost imagine someone else out there doing the same, peering at Earth's faint glow, recording data without making themselves known, curious about our progress, yet resolved to avoid direct interference. The zoo hypothesis fits well with the feeling that there is more out there, but we are just not allowed to see it yet. Our broadcasts leak into space, carrying soap opera plots, music, and news reports. These faint radio signals spread outward like ripples in a pond. If there are watchers, they can study these transmissions without replying. They might chart our social evolution, note our inventions, and analyze our languages. Perhaps they periodically run simulations or tests, content with a long-term study that unfolds over centuries or millennia. The zoo hypothesis leaves no room for grand revelations or sudden appearances. It implies patience, restraint, and observation that might continue silently, day after day, year after year. In the end, the zoo hypothesis remains one possibility among many, supported only by the absence of evidence for overt contact. Its essence is a scenario in which advanced observers prioritize our natural development and remain hidden.